Hi there, this is Dr. Saraswati from Resource Management, Avinashlingam Institute for Home Science. Now, the topic for the day would be work simplification, definition, its importance, principles and techniques, Mundell's classes of change, simple pen and pencil technique in work simplification. In recent years, work simplification techniques have been used by research workers in home economics and other fields to improve the work methods in homemaking. Motion and time studies have been made of such tasks as food preparation, dish washing, laundering and ironing, bed making, cleaning and a number of other tasks. Efficient kitchen arrangements, tools, equipment, storage facility and correct height for work surfaces, chairs and stools have also been studied. So the busy homemaker who wants to free more energy for certain activities, the employed homemaker who needs to lighten her home workload and the disabled homemaker who must learn to conserve her energy can use the principles and techniques of work simplification and attain these goals. So the work simplification studies of homemaking tasks indicate that change and improvement in work methods are possible in every home. They also show that there is considerable variety in the best work methods in different households, and it is true that a number of best ways can be found for many of the jobs that are done. Work simplification is making work easier. According to Nickel and Dorsey, it is a conscious seeking of the simplest, easiest and the quickest method of doing work. It aims at accomplishing more work with limited amount of time and energy. Next, we would like to see into the classes of change. Homemakers who wish to simplify their task can easily do so by making a careful study of their methods to work. The first step is to apply a questioning attitude to every task. Questions of this sort usually leads to the next step, making the changes necessary to improve the present method. For no one is likely to change their habits unless first aware of reason for doing so. This awareness is essential since it supplies a strong motivating force, a belief that one can improve ways of working and realization of the gains to be had through definitely reduce the fatigue, shorten the time and greater accomplishment act as per to devise means of working with great ease. So, one must next realize that changing old habits is not so easy or a quick process. More time will be needed to and more thought and attention must be given to the task while a new method is being learned. If one is interested in breaking an old habit, the change will be easier. Now, Mundell classified changes that can improve one method of work into 5 levels, and each higher level brought about changes in the motion in the level below it. Gross and Grandel to combine 5 classes of change into 3 classes. Now, beginning with the lowest, these are changes in the hand and body motion. The second is change in work and storage space and equipment. Third, change in the product. These 3 classes will be used as a basis for the questions and the discussions which would follow. Class 1, that's a change in hand and body motions. Focusing of attention on the motions made by hands and body reveals many possible changes that can save time and energy. Many tasks can be done with less effort by eliminating and combining certain processes, by improving the sequence of routine work, by developing skills and by improving body mechanics. Motions in working. Rinsing of dishes in a drainer and allowing them to dry without wiping is an example for the elimination of number of operations in the process. Reducing the utensils used in the food preparation is an easy way to save motions. The new methods of combining all ingredients at once in making cakes or in making a cake mix are designed to eliminate a number of operations used in the longer preparation process. The stacking of dishes in the way they will be washed, or ironing sheets so that they can be unfolded and spread on the bed with fewest motions are the examples of ways to save time and unnecessary motions. Now, keeping the house in smooth running order requires many steps and with the possibility of great waste of both energy and motions. By careful planning before the work has begun, many steps can be saved. Making one trip take the place of several is one of the easiest way to eliminate steps. This may be done by carrying several things at once as one makes trips about the kitchen or up and down the stairs. Trays and baskets are helpful step-saving aids. Now we look into the sequence of work. Improving the routing of work in the home is another way of reducing steps. The making of movement or pathway chart on the floor plan to show the path being traveled by the worker in doing a task is an easy way to learn the number of trips being made and the distance being walked. Such a chart usually suggests the most logical, effective route to follow from the beginning to the completion of a task. Besides reducing steps, changes in the routing of work frequently save unnecessary handling of equipment and supply. For example, when dishes are being stacked at the right side of the sink, washed, dried and stored at the left, minimum motions are required. In such tasks as making of muffins, several meals, laundering, cleaning, the routing problem is more difficult to solve. These tasks call for collecting and arranging material and equipment and clearing away afterward. The routing of each task is different and requires separate study. The main objective is to find the shortest and the most direct way of doing the task. Kitchen jobs often lend themselves to the grouping and combining or dovetailing. Many tasks require a great deal of walking and frequent changes from one type of muscular work to the other. When this is true, it usually saves time and effort to produce with one operations until it is finished. Skill and work. The development of skill in the performance of homemaking tasks eliminates many time and energy consuming motions in the day's work, and tasks are easily done and plans are executed with speed, smoothness and by the skilled and experienced homemaker. Her motions are graceful and rhythmic and they reflect the mental control behind the motions. So rhythm is a fundamental process in everyday living and may be used to increase the efficiency. In watching a skillful homemaker at work, one notices the rhythm and the ease with which she moves and how one motion seems to flow into the next without any conscious effort. There is rhythmical movement in the swing of the broom, in operation of the vacuum sweeper, in washing the dishes, in beating of batters and in slicing vegetable, in rolling of a pastry, in fact, in every skilled operation. Some homemakers work fast, others are very slow, and it will be seen that each one has a natural swing or a rhythm peculiar to her. In repetitive activities, a continuous movement is generally less fatiguing than several angular movements or straight line motions involving sudden and sharp changes in the direction, although both may be rhythmical. If the end of each movement is rounded so that the return stroke is a continuation of the forward movement, one movement passes easily to the next. With movements of this kind, there is a definite economy of effort. Rhythmic work is also a less tiring and non-rhythmic work because working bones have double sets of muscle. When working is done rhythmically, one set rests while the other set works. So, if the work is done tensely and awkwardly, both sets are going to work at once and fatigue comes more quickly. Posture in a housework. To avoid strain and to develop good body carriage while working, some attention should be given to the posture habits in standing, sitting, stooping and bending while working. Good posture is doing any task may be defined as the position which requires the expenditure of a small amount of energy. A good standing posture is one in which the head, neck, chest and the abdomen are balanced vertically one upon the other so that the weight is carried mainly on the bony framework and the minimum of effort and strain is placed upon the muscles and the ligaments. When the body is well balanced in the standing position, the head will be directly over the feet and the center of gravity will pass through the middle ear, shoulder, hip and the outside of the knee and the outside of the ankle. A good sitting posture for work is a well balanced and a poised position. The weight has been carried by the bony support of the skeleton, thus relieving the muscles and the nerves of all strain. The pose is such that minimum adjustment is necessary for such action as work may demand. The line of gravity falls through the middle of the shoulder, hip and the seat bones. The body is straight from the hips to the neck and there is no flex or bend at the waistline. Poor standing and sitting posture may result in permanent changes in the spine, in the position of the joint, ligament and muscles and in the location of the organs of the body. Such changes produce strains and tension which increase the fatigue cost of homemaking tasks. Using the most comfortable body position while working eases the body and relieves the strain. Alternating standing and sitting is more stressful than either one continued for a long period. Doing a task the efficient way means saving both time and energy. The next would be class 2, changes in the work and storage space and equipment. This includes such changes as organizing the storage space, rearranging a large kitchen equipment, planning work surfaces of the proper height and width, and adding a new equipment and working tool. Many changes can be made with small expenditure of money and often with the only integrity or some member of the family. Some helpful questions to ask regarding such changes are presented in the following sector. 1. Is the major equipment efficiently arranged? Yes. The possibilities of saving time and steps through the changes in both kitchen arrangement and equipments were studied, and improved arrangement released about 45% of the homemaker's time and eliminated about 91% of the steps. Other studies of equipment arrangements in different shaped kitchens indicated various ways of reducing travel distances in planning new kitchens or rearranging the old ones. The second would be, are work surfaces a comfortable height and width? The heights of the kitchen work surfaces should be given a careful attention because equipment of a comfortable height suited to the worker permits good working posture. When the work surfaces in the kitchen are too low, one must stand in a stooped, uncomfortable position while working. If the surfaces are too high, then the arms and shoulders must be raised to make the adjustment to the height. When the surfaces are too wide, stretching the arms and bending the body, such adjustment cause unnecessary strain and fatigue. Good standing position is possible only when the height of the working equipment is built or adjusted to fit the physique of the worker. The most satisfactory method for determining the best work surface height is for the workers to test different heights and find those at which tasks can be done more comfortably. Are work chairs and stools comfortable? A chair or a stool of the proper height and type makes it possible for a worker to sit comfortably while doing the task at the sink, work table, lapboard, or when ironing clothes at their board or an electrical ironer. A comfortable work chair or a stool should induce a good sitting posture without physical strain and should have the following feature. Now, the chair or a stool should permit the worker to sit comfortably with both the feet resting on the floor or at a footrest. The seat should be low enough so that there will be no pressure from its front edge on the area behind the knees. A seat is too high tends to interfere with the nerves and with the blood vessels in this area, thereby causing discomfort and restlessness. A shallow seat always allows the worker to bend at the hips while leaning forward. A deep seat can cause the worker to slump and bend at the waistline and drop shoulders forward. Now, a seat should have a moderate backward slope to prevent the worker from sliding forward. A backrest should be provided to give support to the small of the back. A chair should not have a horizontal support or a bar lower than 6 inches above the seat. The open space allows the worker to sit back in the seat so that the small of the back receives proper support. Are the tools and equipment the most efficient? Then it can be chosen. Purchasing the efficient working equipment for doing a household task and for the care of the family should be given a careful thought because this is one of the easiest methods to control time and energy expenditure. Equipment which is technically inadequate, such as an egg beater that sticks, the paring knife that fails to hold an edge, an ironing board that is warped or that rocks, the mixing bowl that tips or it is hard to clean, a string spoon that is poorly designed, or the oven which is too small is not only a wasteful of time and energy but also can cause nervous irritations resulting in fatigue to the homemaker. The next question would be, are small equipments and food supplies stored near the place of use? Now, much needless walking, lifting and rehandling can be eliminated by storing small equipments and food supplies at the work centers where they will be used. This means that skillets, griddles and seasoning will be at the range, equipment used in dishwashing and in preparation of vegetables such as kettles, pans and paring knives at the sinks and bowls and food supplies at the food mixing center. All tools, utensils, dishes and food supply should be stored in such a way that they are readily accessible. So this may be accomplished by adjustable shelving arrangements of one kind or the other. Storage one row deep on shelves and one layer deep in drawers saves stacking and crowding. Definite and convenient storage spaces enable the worker to do the kitchen task with time-saving sequence of movements and with minimum conscious effort. Frequently used heavy utensils should be stored as nearly as possible at the work surface level, and this keeps the most used pieces of equipment within easy reach and reduce needless shoulder lifting. The next question would be, are the supplies and the tools within easy reach? Now, arranging the supplies and the tools within easy reach simplifies many tasks. There is a normal and easy working area for right hand and the left hand working separately and for both working together. The arcs for the normal working area in a horizontal plane are determined by the sweep of the hand with the forearms extended and the upper arms hanging at the side of the body in a natural position. The overlapping section is the area in which the work with both hands may be done more conveniently. Arcs drawn with the arms extended from the shoulder will give the maximum work area. Each hand and its normal working area in the vertical as well as the horizontal plane in which the work may be done with least time and effort. The maximum working area may also be determined beyond which work cannot be done without disturbing the posture. When storing materials above the working surface, thought should be given to choose these facts. Adopting the practice of leaving the tools and equipments in position in which they will be used or picked up again avoids turning and rehandling. We'll look into the next classes of change, that is a class 3, changes in the product. Simplification of work through changes in the product calls for an appraisal of available resources and the family standards of housekeeping. Most families have desirable finished products in mind that they consider to be important. Many of these standards have passed from parents to sons and to daughters, and often such traditional patterns are difficult to change. Different standards, however, are more easily acceptable if they are discussed by the family so that everyone understands why this change is being made. In this way, reluctance to accept the new and simpler methods can be overcome. In recent years, technological advancement have brought in many new materials on the market designed to simplify work in the home. The use of these materials frequently means acceptance of different standards, although this may not always be true. The advantages of many of these materials is that they save time and energy as well as motion. Changes in the product may come from the use of different raw materials or making of different products from the same raw material, or changes in both raw material and in the finished products. The examples for this would be use of different raw materials are paper napkins and paper kitchen towels that save washing and ironing, powdered coffee in places of regular coffee, frozen peas in the places of fresh ones that must be shelled, and use of textiles that require little or no ironing, shortcut recipes baked in the bowl in which they are mixed. Examples of different end products from the same raw material would be baked apple instead of applesauce and sheets and towels folded unironed. An example for different raw material and finished products is the use of woven grass and plastic table mats instead of linen tablecloth. In planning the day's meal or the week's cleaning, a wise manager is constantly thinking of time and energy cost in relation to the finished product and often adjusts standards when cost runs too high. That's a class 4, changes in the finished product. Simplifying work by making changes in the finished product calls for an appraisal of available resources and family standards of housekeeping. The most families have certain desirable finished products in mind that they consider to be important. Many of these standards have passed from parents and they are actually difficult, and different standards, however, are more easily acceptable if they are discussed by the family. The next class would be again class 5, changes in the material. In recent years, technological advancement have brought on the market many new material designed to simplify work in the home. The use of material frequently mean the acceptance of different standards, although this may not always be true. The advantages of many of these materials are that they bring an enormous reduction in the time and energy. We'll now just look into what can be the techniques that is used in the process of work simplification. Attention was first focused on work simplification through research carried on in the industrial field. Motion and time studies showed that improvements in the methods of work not only eliminated useless motions but also saved the workers time and energy. Now we'll see the first one, that's a simpler pen and pencil technique. For the purpose of influencing homemakers to become motion-minded, the elaborate technique of the industry are out of place. Popularized forms of research films are, of course, good for arousing interest, but the detailed analysis of films is impractical for the homemaker. At the practical level, certain simple techniques of study are possible, notably the process chart, operation chart, and the pathway, the flow chart. Any of these devices is useful by the person interested in work simplification in the study group or in the home. It is equally applicable if done with precision to true research in home tasks. Some of the techniques used for motion and time studies are pathway chart, the process and the operation chart, and micro motion film analysis are also included. The pathway chart is a simple device for making a motion and time study in the home. A flow plan drawn to scale and fastened to the drawing board or wall board, pins and thread pins are put in on the floor plan where the worker turns the line of travel, or the pathway is measured from the thread wound around the pins as she works. Process chart is a step-by-step description method used in doing tasks. It shows the flow of movement in the task and is most helpful in calling attention to the unnecessary steps in motion. The operation chart is used in making a more detailed study of some particular part of the process. In this chart, the movement is broken down into the activities of both right and left hand. The finer analysis shows where unnecessary motions are being made and where delays occur in the work. Both process chart and the operation chart are useful motion and time study techniques. They require no special equipment and their use produce astonishing results. Micromotion film analysis is primarily a research technique and applies the best to the task that can be easily filmed, and motion pictures of tasks done under normal condition make permanent record that can be analyzed and charted to show the work of the hands and the other parts of the body used in the operation. By means of timing device, the time of movement of the worker can be accurately recorded. The cycle graph, a photographic device, is also used to study the type of motion used in performing the task. When this is attached to some portion of the body, such as the hand, when ironing is being done, it registers the pathway of the light projected by a small electrical bulb. The resulting record shows whether the movements are smooth and rhythmic or non-rhythmic. This is an effective way to learn how motions are being reduced and how methods of work can be improved in doing a task. One of the newest devices being tested is the chronocyclograph. By using small lights in the middle finger of each hand, the patterns of simple and intricate tasks can be photographed and recorded on the film. I wish to conclude to say that time and work reducing ideas, work simplification and motion mindedness may be used by everyone. Work simplification is the conscious seeking of simplest, easiest and the quickest method of doing the work. Motion mindedness is an awareness of the motions involved in doing a task and an interest in the possible ways of reducing them. The busy homemaker who wants to free more energy for certain activities, the employed homemaker who needs to lighten the workload can learn to conserve her energy and use the principles and techniques of work simplification studies of homemaking tasks and indicate that change improvement in the work methods that is possible in every home. Thank you.